For such a wonderful question when it comes to managing the aviation. One, aviation requires a high level of investment, and it requires also self-dedication, determination, and the clusters to help manage the aviation, especially the insurance aspect. If I want to look at these clusters, one, the aviation fuel has made the cost of operating extraordinarily difficult. Two, the insurance aspect is making companies to grant their crafts. Three, the moral mentality of ticketing is also a factor that we have to change. And maintenance is a culture with not embrace. So what Dr. Olowo did was to develop and write a book which he wrote and published this year on how correct practitioners are cutting corners without looking at the value addiction. He narrated an experience which he refers to as the lion and the gazelle. Something that persons without the knowledge, without the skills, ventured into the business because they have the money. In the process, they don't have the power to compete. And what happened when somebody cannot compete? The only option available that we prescribe is the aspect of cooperating, so that all of us, we don't compete on the same round, knowing fully well that round has been depleted. And counting naira is very, very interesting, but the cost involved is a problem. And this is why, in most cases, the head of the pilots are not considered. The needs of the customers are not put on board. Recruiting persons who have no prerequisite skills is a common practice. The aspect of board governance has been relegated to a point that it's a family setting, and this, with other factors, have led to why airlines are failing.
Okay, now let's look at good corporate governance.
Now, when we talk about good corporate governance, what is required is one, what is your knowledge, your skills, and experience? Those are the conditions that qualifies you to be a board member.
Okay.
And if we look at it, it's no longer the practice in Nigeria.
Okay. Now, so a lot of people are saying that people come into the airline business because they have the money. They don't have, the knowledge. But those who have the knowledge, if the environment is strangulating, do you think they will be able to survive?
When you put a python in the field where you have birds, only be strong
To survive.
You escape from the cage. Nigeria is a cage, yet people are making money from that cage. What makes the difference? One, your power to model a future before you start a business. Two, the power to use data to predict what the future holds. Three, the spiritual capital to say, I will not steal. If these three are detached or divorced from any operations, whether airline or any other industry, that is the problem. What drives business is the power of the mind to unbundle your unique resources, deploy them to the advantage of the company, not to self.
Okay.
And when self begins to play a major role vis-a-vis the goal of the organization, the company dies.
Okay. Now,
I'm going to assure you one thing. When an organization cannot evaluate its own activities to determine the best option, even in midst of crisis, the organization is not ethically rich to exist, even a human being. So in most cases, when the inflow becomes robust, we channel them into other things, whereas they are supposed to be invested within. And that is why those who are entrepreneurs, we have trained them to think outside self-entrepreneurship to embrace corporate entrepreneurship.
Okay, but
What?
Okay, but sir, would you not say that if a particular operator or a business owner has these qualities and these things on the table to survive, but the environment is not helping, we're talking about maybe laws, regulations, and maybe charges that they are supposed to pay and the others. Don't you think they also come into play? And government
will always be government. And we always let people know that no matter how terrible a nation is, there are windows of opportunity. And that is why we talk about social capital, connectivity, building bridges, and inviting persons with such power to open the door and bringing them on board. Now, for the past few years, Aviation Roundtable has been doing wonderfully well, inviting the major players. But there are politics to this. Those who killed the Nigeria Airways, they are still active and they are alive. And some of them who were major investors or private owners, they will still want to maximize outside the box. So all these factors that are within the environment are things the manager should be able to address. The government cannot do everything. And we should also understand that the government itself is sick.
But in the area of policies,
Yes.
if the policies that are put in place favors your own, because like Dr. Demure would say, you cannot be wrong supporting your own.
Thank you.
We are looking at policy somersault. Over the years, there has been policy somersault that is not helping the operators to stay strong.
When you pick from the advice of persons like Santos, the Chinese philosopher, he tells you that it is a time of peace we prepare for war. When you also go through the writings of the 48 laws of power, you also discover that, look, you use human being to create your world. The policies, they are written and they are robust. But the interpretation of the policy is the issue. Why your brother cannot live by the riverside and use his spear to wash his hand. So also, in most cases, we see policies are being bent to accommodate one individual. But this is what makes it wonderful. Companies that are aided over time, they experience weakness in terms of their fitness to compete when the system that favor them fails. We have seen that in many countries. And so prepare for all these possibilities in the time of peace.
Okay, now in these trying periods, what would be your advice to operators in order for them not to close shop? Because forex problem is there, scarcity of aviation fuel is there.
If you ask me, there is a need to come to a convergence in terms of the lines issue and how do we cooperate instead of competing, so that we can leverage on a common platform and achieve a common goal. As such, we do not go into resource partitioning and competing over limited sources and resources within the routes that are. And we should not follow others to cut price when we know that this over time is not sustainable. So all these prescriptions requires rethinking, cooperating, and working as one rather than competing against one another.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.